guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Nina from Kits Knits, and today we are going to do a little mini tutorial for my latest blanket pattern, which is called the Totally Two-Tone Throw. It's a little big to show on camera here, but this is what we're working with. We've got very simple single crochet rows in alternating colors to create some nice stripes, and then a cute little ruffle edge border. While it's called the Totally Two-Tone Throw, there's actually 3 colors involved, and some of my testers have done 3 colored stripes, which looks awesome as well. I'm not going to do a tutorial showing you how to make the entire full thing because we would be here forever. I'm gonna do a small swatch so you can kind of see what I'm trying to explain in the pattern and how you can take the pattern and kind of size it to whatever size you'd like, because my pattern's only written for one size, which is this giant throw. If you want to make like a baby blanket or something like that, oh my god, ignore my end, you could do that as well. So let's get into it. For this pattern, you are going to need 2 different balls of yarn in different colors for your contrasting stripes, and a color for your ruffle border, a different color for that as well. Now the pattern calls for 4 balls of each color. However, it might change depending on your tension and how big or small you make your blanket. I did use exactly 1 ball for the ruffle border, and for the main body of this blanket, I did use a 10mm crochet hook. I know some of you are going to think that's crazy, but we're working in single crochet stitch and I wanted there to be some drape to the blanket. Always check your gauge before you begin, and then you'll know what hook size is going to work best. For the border, we do use an 8mm, so slightly smaller, and that's just going to get our ruffles a little bit tighter, a little bit more ruffly. Another thing that we need is a darning needle for weaving in our ends, and scissors obviously to cut our yarn, because after each color that we crochet, we are going to cut the yarn and join a new one. It just makes it a lot easier. It's kind of messy to carry your yarn in this case. So that covers just about everything on our note section here. Obviously, if you purchase the pattern, you will have all that information for you there. Let's go over our abbreviations. All we're using is the chain, single crochet, double crochet, slip stitch, and then knowing the difference between the right side and the wrong side of our work. All right, so I decided to just chain 10, and I'm going to make more of like a gauge swatch out of mine. So the pattern says to chain X amount of stitches, and we're actually going to work in the back bumps to create a nice clean edge. So I'm going to skip over this first stitch and work into here. So just putting our single crochets into our back bumps. And you know what, you guys? Somebody's child is outside playing the recorder, so I'm going to finish working into the back loops there, or the back bumps there, and I will meet you at the end. So here we are after crocheting down along our chain, and now I have 9 stitches that I'm working with. If you've worked any of my patterns before, you know I typically do not chain when I turn my work. So we're just going to simply turn the work with making sure your working yarn is at the back. You can kind of tug your loop a little bit to give you some give, and we're going to work directly into that first stitch there. And we're just going to single crochet back down along that row. This is nice and small, so I'm just going to keep going until I reach the end, and there we go. That's our first color segment. Now that I'm at the end here, I am going to cut this yarn, and what I would recommend when you're doing your color changes is to, before you actually complete that final stitch, you can color change however you like. This is just how I typically do it. Before you complete that single crochet, I would actually join your new color, and it makes it just a little bit more seamless. Now that I've got my new color on there, I'm going to turn my work I'm going to pick up this tail from the new color, and I'm actually going to just crochet over top of it. So again, all we're doing is single crocheting all the way across our row. That just makes one less tail to weave in. And you could crochet over both, but what you will start to notice is that one side of your work is going to become a little bit more ripply and bulky than the other, because we're never weaving in on this side, since the color change always occurs on this side of our work. So you can weave in these ends as you go. What I typically do is turn my work over and see where I would like that to go into, and just weave him down along the line. It doesn't have to be super far in there, just enough to seamlessly hide it, or just use any method you prefer. Honestly, it's not going to make or break the pattern. I just found that the easiest way for me. Snip it and be done. So we're going to go back to where we were, turn our work, do not chain, and just keep single crocheting all the way across. So this is a really nice mindless project because you're really just doing a ton of single crochet stitches. So you can pick it up, binge watch that show you've been wanting to watch, and go from there. Okay, so since this color is done too, I'm going to cut that end, grab my next one that I need to use. We're going to color change because we've done 2 rows. Every 2 rows, you are going to change your yarn color. If you prefer to tie a knot, you can absolutely do that too. I know some people really want to make sure that their ends are super secure. I'm going to pick up this color and just start crocheting. So the pattern explains all of this, what you're going to need to do when you're doing your color changes, all of that. So I'm going to work this up a little bit more until I've got a few more stripes, and then I will show you the border, because I think the border is probably maybe the part where we would need the most support. All right, so here we are. I've done a couple more rows. This is the right side of my work, and you can tell that by seeing that the colors are in clear stripes. There's kind of like a line separating them. If you were to see the wrong side, that line kind of ends up in between the colors and not perfectly separating the colors. So this would be our wrong side, this will be our right side. If you started with color A, you're going to end with color A as well. That's just going to create some more symmetry with your blanket. So now it's time to finish off this part, and we need to go on to the border. So I'm just going to chain. That's how I like to do it. Cut a tail, pull it out, pull it nice and tight, and then I'm going to weave in this end. Okay, so all of our ends are woven in and we are ready to start the border. Let's not forget we're going to switch to the smaller hook. This is optional. I just like to do it because I want the border to be nice and tight. So I am going to insert my hook into the last stitch of the last round that we did on the main section of this pattern. And I'm going to secure that with a slip knot, pull tight, and I'm going to chain 1, and that's going to count as my first stitch. I'm going to put 1 more single crochet in there. So that will be 2 stitches into that first one. And that's going to start that corner, but this corner is not complete. We're going to worry about that at the end. Now we need to rotate our work, and we're going to work along the edge. The goal here is to put about 2 single crochet stitches into each color change. Minus these corners, it's going to be a little bit tricky. Again, my suggestion is just to work into where it's comfortable for your hook to fit into. So the goal would be 2 per, But if you can't make it work, then don't worry about it. It's not going to affect the stitch count of the border. Well, it will change it, but it won't change how it's going to work up. So as long as your work is laying flat, when you add this first round, you will be okay. So I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to go around this tail because I do not want to weave it in later. And I'm just going to work in to all of these spots that my hook wants to go into. Oops. This one is tricky because I know I put a bunch of ends into there, but that's okay. All right, so I've gotten to a point where I can make the next corner. So I'm going to insert my hook and I'm going to put 3 into the corner. So wherever I want to make a corner, I'm putting 3 single crochet into it. So that's my second corner made, and I'm going to rotate my work and I'm going to work along the bottom edge. And that's kind of nice. We just put 1 single crochet into each stitch that we can. Oh my gosh, you guys, it is so hot today. Okay, now we're at this part. This looks like a good spot to make a corner. Let's put 3 single crochet into there. 2 and 3. That will be our third corner completed. 1, 2, 3. We're going to rotate our work, and again we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. Just find where it makes sense for your hook to go and squeeze in a stitch there. Aiming for 2 per color section, but sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. And again, I'm weaving over this end because it'll be one less end to weave in later. And we love that. This project has lots of ends to weave in. Okay, because this stitch is a part of this row, I'm going to make my corner here because it will work the best. So I'm going to put 3 single crochet into this stitch. And that's my 4th corner made. I'm going to rotate and I'm going to finish this off by working along the top. Okay, in our last stitch here, this is where we work that first corner. We are going to place 1 more single crochet that will give us 3 stitches within there. Find your little chain, and I'm not sure if that was actually the right spot. This ball of Bernat is so fluffy. Okay. You're going to slip stitch to that, and that will complete your first corner and your border round. Don't be afraid to stretch it out, because if you did go over those ends there, sometimes it gets a little bit bunched up, but it should be looking something like this. Everything does sit flat for the most part, and now we're ready to do round 2 and create our ruffles. Okay, so to start off, we are going to chain 3, and that will count as one of our double crochet stitches. And we need to put 4 double crochets into the same stitch. So every corner will get 5 double crochets, and that will just build all those corners up. So that would be 3, and then 4, and 5. So that's including my chain counting as a stitch. I've got my 5 in there. I'm going to go into the next stitch and I'm going to put 3 double crochet into that stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to do that the whole way along. Let's do a couple together, and then I will not make you guys watch me do the entire border. I will meet you at the next corner after I do that. So again, we're going to put 3 in here. 1, 2, 3, and in the next stitch, 1, 2, 3, and the next stitch, 1, 2, 3. Okay, So you can see the little ruffle is starting to form. I'll meet you guys back here when I get to this corner. Okay, so this first line of ruffles is all done. And now I'm at the corner, but I haven't gone into the first stitch of the corner yet. So in the first stitch, since we have 3 in there, let's put 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Now it's this middle stitch within the corner 3 that we need to put 5 into. So it would be the second stitch that we put into there. So let's do 5 into that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, there's still 1 stitch remaining in there, so we just put 3 like we do every other stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. Oops. 3. And now we can keep going along this row. So all you're going to do is do 3 double crochet into every regular stitch. When you hit a corner, there's 3 stitches in there. The middle stitch is the one we want to put 5 double crochet into, and then rotate and work along. So you guys can go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that, and I'll meet you back here when we get to the beginning again. Okay, I am almost done. This is looking a little bit crazy. I really wish I picked a different color other than red because I forgot how difficult it is to film. But anyways, okay, each corner has 5 double crochet and every other one has 3. I just did my final double crochet stitch here, and now I'm ready to finish off this border. So I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first chain 3 that we did, cut my yarn, and then just weave in that end, and you'll be all done. I hope this made sense. The goal of this tutorial was not to give you the step-by-step instructions for how to make this pattern, but rather if you purchased my pattern, which is available in my Etsy shop, you could easily adapt it to any size that you wish and then kind of understand how those instructions would work for the border a little bit better. So I really hope that brought some clarity to this pattern for you, and if it did, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, as always, like, comment, or subscribe. And hopefully I'm back soon. Bye!